It's a tradition unlike any other. That's why they call it the Masters, and tournament coverage starts on Thursday. We have all the big names in the field: Bubba Watson, Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, Lefty, and Rory McIlroy, but no bigger name than my next guest from the Golf Channel and NBC Sports, and that is Steve Sands. Steve, Zach Gelb here, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Thanks for a few minutes. How are you?
Anytime for anyone who has a father who can juggle and eat an apple at the same time, Zach.
Well, I am a big figure in your son's camp life at Pine Forest Camp, as I was his division leader for last summer, if the listening audience doesn't know. And my father was the counselor for you. Now, after hearing all the stories about me and experiencing my father at Pine Forest Camp, who was the better Gelb in the Pine Forest Camp legacy for one Steve Sands?
Well, I'm trying to think. I've had to say this cleanly on the radio to the good folks back in Philadelphia, but just imagine being in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade when you're trying to learn a little bit about life. The fact that your father had a major influence on how I ended up turning out like a man will tell you pretty much all you need to know. I think Bob Gelb had a greater influence on Steven Sands than Zach Gelb has had an influence on Brian Sands just now.
Well, thanks for the interview. We'll talk to Jim Nantz for the Masters coverage.
But there's still time. Brian's just a young man. You never know.
That's excellent stuff as Steve Sands joins us from the Golf Channel and NBC Sports. How are the kids? Was Passover good?
It was great. Everything was great. Got up here on Thursday. Been here seemingly for about a month, and they haven't started the tournament yet. It's been great. Really enjoyed being up here and enjoyed the holidays up here. How about you? Everything good with you and your family?
Yeah, everything was absolutely fantastic. It was a nice Passover Seder. Always a raucous time when the Gelb family gets together with the Jeromes. But people that have gone to Augusta and have seen the Masters always rave to me about this pimento and cheese sandwich. I'm just wondering, since it's still Passover, will they serve that on matzah for you?
Pretty long odds to get matzah at Augusta National Golf Club. I will have to say that. I think that, first of all, the pimento cheese is disgusting. I don't know how anybody eats it. I mean, honestly, it is gross. I don't know how anybody eats it. But finding it on matzah in southeast Georgia might be a tall order.
What's the one meal that when Steve Sands goes to Augusta or just in the area that he has to have every year when you go down there and visit?
There's two, actually, Zach. A tradition unlike any other is what they like to say on CBS with the Masters. But I can tell you, I can promise you, there's nothing better than going to Luigi's downtown, a little Italian place in downtown Augusta with your buddies who you haven't seen in about a year. And then also there's a steak place called T-Bones right down the street from Augusta National. Also a tradition unlike any other. Me and Scott Van Pelt from ESPN, who he and I grew up together outside of D.C. in Maryland. We get together a couple times a year, but every Wednesday night at the Masters, we go late and go deep at T-Bone. So looking forward to that dinner tomorrow night.
Very nice. I'm sure it's going to be a fun time. The big story, obviously, is Tiger Woods. No matter who is golfing, no matter what event, if Tiger Woods is playing in it in my lifetime, he will be the biggest player and the biggest storyline for me. How has he looked in practice, and what were your impressions from the press conference today?
You know, my impressions of the news conference today, Zach, was tremendous. Very at ease, very in tune with everything, no missteps, had some humor, very comfortable in his own skin, saying hello to a lot of people, looking everybody in the eye, just very, very calm, cool, and collected, which is, fantastic to see considering the position that Tiger was in, trying to come back from, basically being embarrassed as a professional in front of the world to see a couple of months ago in Scottsdale and then the following week at Torrey Pines. So, off the course, I think, Tiger is in fantastic shape. On the course, you have to wait and see. I mean, Monday and Tuesday practice rounds, working out of the tournament practice area, that's one thing. And then bringing it to the table Thursday afternoon in round one is a completely different deal, Zach, as you know. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think he's looked good. He's chipped and pitched well. He's hitting the ball well. And I think that, things look pretty decent for Tiger right now. I would be surprised if he contended and went on to win. But I would be more surprised if he played horrifically and went on to shoot like ridiculously high scores. So I think it's going to be okay for Tiger.
I used to always pick Tiger to win every single event, but I agree with you. I would be a little bit shocked just with how long he's been out if he comes out and wins the Masters, but who knows? That's why they play golf. What would you be satisfied with, though, for a finish, if you had to give me a number range for Tiger Woods?
That's a good question. It's a tough one to answer because the Masters is different than the other major championships because there are only 98 players here. Figure 10 or 15 of them have zero chance. The Ben Crenshaws and the Tom Watsons and the Sandy Lyles, the guys who won the Green Jacket are coming back here who are just too old and just can't handle the golf course. So let's say there are 80 guys. Normally a major championship is 144, 156 guys. So then there's some of the amateurs who have no chance. So, to make the cut is top 50 in ties or within 10 shots of the lead after 36 holes. The last 2 years, that cut, Zach, has been 148. So that's a pair of 74s. That's 2 over par each day, 4 over par through 36 holes. So, I think Tiger can certainly make the cut. I just would be surprised if he contended. So somewhere in the middle of the pack, come late Sunday afternoon and showing some glimpses of greatness and some glimpses of rustiness, I think is pretty much what to expect from Tiger.
I'll never forget it. I skipped school in 2008 to watch the playoff at the U.S. Open between Rocco Mediate and Tiger Woods. And if you were to tell me at that date that Tiger Woods would not win a major again and that would be his last one, I would call you crazy. Do you think in his career, because he did mention about how he is getting older and how when he was playing when he first started playing, Jordan Spieth was in diapers today at the press conference, so he has acknowledged his age. Will he ever win a major again, Steve, in your mind?
I would have said, that's a tough one. I would have said after 2008 that you're insane if he doesn't win another major.
No question.
And last year, I would have said, man, I don't know if he's ever going to win another major. But, Tiger is one of those guys who has the ability to kind of change your mind week in, week out, depending on how he looks and how he acts. I think this is a big week for him in a couple of aspects. One is it's the Masters, it's the grandest stage in the game. And the other is that you can chip it and pitch it and play well in and around the golf course down in Jupiter where he plays at home, the Medalist. And you can chip it and pitch it and putt it well and drive it well and hit good irons in practice rounds and on the tournament practice area here at Augusta National. But if that translates into good golf, that's one thing. But if that translates into still nervy chips, still not looking solid or confident, then, I'll be real worried after that. Because I think he wouldn't be here unless he thought he could do it. But if that stuff comes back, then I think the problem is a lot deeper than anybody realizes. However, I don't anticipate that. I think he's going to play okay. I just don't think he's going to play great enough to win, but I think he'll play okay. And most of that chipping and pitching that we saw in San Diego and Scottsdale is behind it. But you never know. It's a wait to see how it works out. So I want to save the answers until after I see him play a couple of rounds here. I think that if he shows that same form as he did the last time we saw him play competitively, then I would say, man, we're in deep, deep trouble here. But if he doesn't show that and he's gotten beyond that and just shows a little rust and plays well, then I think that he might be well on his way to coming back to being a great player and having a chance to compete on Sundays at major championships again.
Steve Sands is our guest from the Golf Channel and NBC Sports. It's the Masters starting on Thursday. But I do have to ask you, non-Tiger storyline, what's the biggest storyline for this week?
Rory McIlroy, number one player in the world, has a chance to achieve something that only 5 players in the history of the sport have achieved, trying to get the career Grand Slam. He's won the last 2 major championships, the Open Championship and the PGA Championship. He's trying to win 3 majors in a row. And if he wins this Green Jacket, he'll be a career Grand Slam winner. And that is just something that is the most rarefied area you could possibly be in this sport. So I think he is definitely story 1. Maybe 1A is what will Tiger do? Will Bubba win back-to-back? Only 3 guys have ever done that. Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Nick Faldo. He would win 3 or 4 Masters, if he doesn't, and he goes back to back. So I think those are the other 2 big storylines. Will Phil get it back? Can Jason Day break through? How will Adam Scott react to bringing back the long putter perhaps this week? There are so many storylines to follow, but I would put it in a little jambalaya of Rory, Tiger, and Bubba as 1, 2, 3. And Dustin Johnson as well. Can he break through and win his first major championship here, coming in very good form? There are a lot of storylines to follow, but Rory, Tiger, and Bubba are right there, 1, 2, and 3.
I'm so intrigued about Jordan Spieth. Last year he finished second in the Masters. What could he learn from last year that he may implement coming up this weekend and try to win the whole thing?
Well, he's 21 years of age. He's a seasoned veteran already. It's amazing. He's won a few times on the PGA Tour now, Zach. You know, I think he learned a valuable lesson last year that this is a very difficult place to win, and the cauldron is very, very tough. And I think that he will take that experience and try to run with it. I think Jordan Spieth has a chance to become a second 21-year-old Masters winner. Tiger Woods did it at 21 years of age. And I think Jordan Spieth has a chance to do that this week.
Now, before we let you run, as Steve Sand joins us from the Golf Channel and NBC Sports, when I walk into Madison Square Garden, just as a New Yorker, it doesn't matter how many times I walk in there. It just doesn't get old. I love going to games, whether it's as a media member or a fan at Madison Square Garden. You go to the Masters every single year. Does the Masters ever get old for Steve Sands?
No. In my opinion, it's the most storied venue in American sports. And not just because I cover golf. I'm a big sports fan. You know, now that Yankee Stadium is no longer, I know Madison Square Garden, but, you know, no offense to Madison Square Garden, but I don't think I put it in the category of, as far as American sports iconic venues, because they play so many events there. I think that Churchill Downs and Augusta National Golf Club are the 2 most storied sports venues in this country, and I think coming back here every year is an honor. I cherish the week here. It's a lot of fun. It's amazing to be a part of it. And how could you ever get sick of being at a place where, let's face it, forget the fact that you're a golf fan. You're a golf fan, you know, this is your utopia. But if you're a sports fan, where else would you rather be this week? This is the best place to be this week in all of sports. The Final Four is done. The NHL and the NBA playoffs haven't started yet. The NFL is not playing as we speak. And Major League Baseball is just getting started. This is the best place to be this week in sports, and we're lucky enough to do it every single year. So, absolutely not. I'm not sick of it, and nor will I ever get sick of it.
If memory serves me right, the reason why you probably don't like Madison Square Garden is because you're a stinking Capitals fan, and you're just mad that Alexander Ovechkin can't really get past the Rangers.
Well, I mean, what year were you born, Zach?
I was born in '94. I came right after the Cup. Messier hoisted the Cup, and then I came out of the womb.
Right. So I knew that, and the reason I knew that is because we've had this conversation before. In your lifetime, you have never seen the Rangers hoist the Stanley Cup. So settle down on the Rangers and Ovechkin and the Caps and what happens. Let's see what happens this year. Both of our teams are playing very, very good hockey right now. Yours better than mine, but you never know what will happen in the playoffs.
Steve, it's always a treat to talk to you. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the week, and say hello to the wife and the kids for me.
By the way, good luck to everybody with the Eagles, whoever the quarterback is. I love what Chip Kelly's done in the offseason as a Redskins fan. I know we stink, but I'd like to see that circus and see what happens come this season in the NFL.
I don't get it. They got better on defense, but their offense is not getting better, and it's so much for this mastermind of Chip Kelly. My patience has run out with him.
We'll see what happens. You never know. Love you, Zach. All the best, buddy.